one of the priority issues I addressed was the situation concerning the Judo Federation. To this end, 3 meetings have been held with the President of the Federation. The first 2 meetings were held in December 2024 and January 2025, which I personally chaired, followed by a 3rd meeting involving officials from my ministry. These discussions were aimed at identifying a lasting resolution to the various challenges faced by judo clubs and athletes. With respect to part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that in accordance with the Sport Act, there says a sport arbitration tribunal has been established. This independent body is empowered to adjudicate cases where individuals or entities feel aggrieved by decisions made by National Sport Federation, among others. I would like to report that the tribunal has recently been reconstituted and has already commenced its operation. In this regard, the Mauritius Judo Federation has informed me that the judo club contesting the Federation decision not to consider their affiliation have referred the matter to the tribunal. The Federation has assured my ministry that it will fully comply with the tribunal decision when it is rendered. As regards part B of the question, I would like to apprise the House on the outcomes of the 3 meetings held with the Mauritius Judo Federation. Following these meetings, the Federation has formally communicated the following to my ministry. Pending the tribunal adjudication on the admission of new club, arrangements have been made under Section 3.2 of the Sport Act 2020 says to issue competition licenses to any judoka wishing to participate in events organized by the Federation. Access to the National Dojo for training purposes will be granted to all judoka, provided they adhere to the established code of discipline applicable to all athletes. The Federation has committed to fully abide by any decision reached by the Sport Arbitration Tribunal. Madam Speaker, these measures demonstrate the Ministry's commitment to ensuring fairness, inclusivity, and the smooth functioning of sport governance in Mauritius. I'm tabling a copy of the letter addressed to me by the Federation.
Madame la Présidente, avec votre permission.
Allez-y.
Cela fait 6 ans que cette situation au niveau du judo perdure, Madame la Présidente. 12 clubs qui ont vu leur renouvellement d'affiliation être rejeté et 6 nouveaux clubs qui dont leurs demandes d'affiliation n'ont pas été acceptées, ce qui fait 18 clubs au total. Madame la Présidente, le judo mauricien, jadis dominant dans la région, sur le continent, a très peu brillé ces dernières années. De ce fait, l'honorable ministre peut-il nous dire s'il compte organiser entre les 2 parties concernées une table ronde afin qu'une fois pour toutes, qu'on mette de la bonne volonté et non pas se fier uniquement sur le tribunal du sport, le tribunal d'arbitrage du sport, pour régler ce problème. Il faut bien le dire, le tribunal d'arbitrage du sport est au courant de ce problème depuis 2022 et rien n'a été, aucune solution n'a été trouvée jusqu'à présent. Donc, ma question, est-ce que l'honorable ministre, au niveau de son ministère, compte organiser une rencontre? Parce que je crois que là où on est arrivé, Madame la Présidente, il faut de la bonne volonté. S'asseoir, discuter et trouver une solution à ce problème qui n'a que trop duré.
We have already done that meeting, Madame la Présidente.
Donc, si j'ai bien compris, dans sa réponse initiale, l'honorable ministre a parlé de 3 réunions qu'il a eues avec le président de la fédération. 2 réunions avec le président de la fédération et 1 réunion avec les officiels. À aucun moment, il n'a parlé de réunion conjointe entre les dirigeants de la fédération et ceux qui contestent justement la situation, ceux qui attendent que leur demande d'affiliation soit enfin acceptée. À aucun moment, l'honorable ministre nous a parlé, nous a informé de cette rencontre que je crois serait salutaire pour le bien du judo.
I've just received, like I said, a letter from the Federation on the 3rd February 2025, and a meeting is going to be held shortly.
Voilà, c'est différent, totalement différent de ce qu'il nous faisait croire. Donc, Madame la Présidente, si on fait référence justement au Sports Arbitration Tribunal, depuis 2022, comme je l'ai dit, ce tribunal a justement ce cas à solutionner. 2022, à ce jour, 3 ans. Peut-on savoir, je peux faire mon travail, Madame la Présidente, ou...
Je vous écoute.
Je n'aime pas être dérangé.
Bien sûr.
Encore plus par Béranger. Alors, comme on peut le constater, bien sûr, je laisse Brère. Comme on peut le constater, beaucoup ont abandonné la pratique du judo, Madame la Présidente, parce qu'ils n'ont pas la possibilité de participer aux compétitions localement et au niveau international.
Si vous me permettez,
Oui.
Si j'ai bien compris, peut-être que je n'ai pas bien entendu aussi, hein, à mon âge, mais si j'ai bien compris, il y aura une réunion, et peut-être suite à ça, si ça ne va toujours pas, vous pouvez toujours venir avec une nouvelle question?
Non, il n'y a pas de souci. Je termine la question. Peut-on savoir, au niveau de votre ministère, Monsieur le ministre, quelles sont les raisons pour lesquelles ce Sports Arbitration Tribunal, pendant 3 ans, ce tribunal n'a pu trouver une solution à ce problème?
That was the past. Now we are looking into the new sport tribunal. You was with us when we discussed it. So you know.
Don't get personal, Minister. Don't get personal. Don't talk to him about whether he was there or not. You're saying you're new to the...
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
That's it. I think we can rest here. We can rest here. We will follow up. You will follow up. Okay? Next question, Mr. Third Member for Vieux-Grand-Port and Roosevelt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 22.
Madam Speaker, since I have assumed office as Minister of Land Transport, I have had repeated complaints from residents of Saint-Hubert, from one village councillor of that locality, Mr. PJ, also known as Nitin, as well as from my colleagues of Grand-Port, Honorable Baburam, Honorable Siben, and the questioner, Honorable Ramdas, on the irregular and unsatisfactory bus services being provided by individual bus operators along Route 87 and Route 11, meaning Saint-Hubert to Kyopip and Saint-Hubert to Mayberg, respectively. As the problem was persistent and occurring on a daily basis, I convened a meeting at my ministry on 23rd of January 2025, at which were present my 3 colleagues MPs, the village councillor, and representative from the NLTA, National Land Transport Authority, to consider the problem. During the course of the meeting, Madam Speaker, some disturbing information was provided on the buses' releases as recorded on stand regulators' sheet and subsequently tampered with in the returns from the Bus Owners Cooperative Society of the South, on the basis of which payments are effected to bus operators of Route 87 and 11. The stand regulator sheet for Route 87 and 11 for the last week of December 2024 were obtained together with the returns of from the cooperative society. A scrutiny of both documents disclosed glaringly the existence of a collusion between the bus operators and the cooperative society to defraud disbursement of public funds under the free travel scheme and subsidies on diesel. The comparative exercise carried out revealed that the cooperative society wittingly ignored the entries made on the stand regulator sheet where buses were absent from operation during the whole days, as well as where buses had performed a significantly lesser number of trips. In both instances, the cooperative society had recorded the buses to be present in service throughout the month and credited these buses with a higher number of trips in spite of these buses being completely absent on some days. In December 2024, the NLTA effected full payment for all operators of routes 87 and 11 as per the returns of the cooperative society, in spite of the fact that 2 buses were absent for a total of 3 days out of 7 days for which a thorough forensic exercise was carried out. Also, full diesel subsidy was paid to all the bus operators, and in light of the outcome of the comparative analysis carried out, the NLTA had disbursed 9,405 rupees in excess on free travel and 3,885 rupees in excess of diesel subsidies. These amounts, Madam Speaker, appear insignificant at first look, but I would like to stress on the fact that the scrutiny of records focused on only 2 problematic buses over a period of 7 days, out of which 3 days the buses were absent, and for which claims were fraudulently claimed and fully paid for. But then there is a total of over 800 individual bus operators grouped within cooperative societies which are operating under the same payment system for the last 20 years, that is, since the introduction of the free travel scheme and other financial support diesel subsidy. When this finding from the forensic exercise is brought on the national level for 800 individual bus operators on a scheme that costs taxpayers 2.5 billion rupees yearly, therefore, tenth of billion of rupees over 20 years, one can easily deduce that the amount defrauded could be in billions over the last 20 years. The more so the number of complaints my ministry has receives day in, day out. Madam Speaker, the government and the travelling public are not deriving the full benefits from this scheme, and hence I would like to thank my colleagues MPs from constituency number 11, as well as the village councillor, Mr. Nitin, for their precious help in bringing to light the malpractice outlined above. I would like to encourage my other colleague MPs to report cases which they consider that public funds are being defrauded. The NLTA has been instructed to record a statement from the village councillor on the inaccuracies disclosed. This statement has been referred to the police for inquiry and eventual prosecution. I'm tabling a copy of the statement with the permission of Mr. Nitin. As for routes 87 and 11, my ministry intends to consider the invitation of applications from the public to replace the unscrupulous operators, and the provisions under Section 77D of the Road Traffic Act will be used to expedite their replacement. Madam Speaker, may I now seek your indulgence for a few more minutes to tell the House and the stakeholders the remedial measures, which is part of the substantive question, that my ministry is taking in respect of the systemic problems regarding poor level of bus transport service occurring around the island in order to have a better control over the operation of buses and for enhancing accountability on the disbursement of public funds to bus operators while ensuring an improved level of service for the travelling public. Number 1, a fleet management system will be introduced requiring all buses mandatorily to provide with a GPS, to be fitted with a GPS system linked to a control room which will be situated on an NLTA. This system will provide real-time information on the number of buses in operation, as well as the number of trips performed. This system is expected to come into operation during the course of this year itself, if all goes as scheduled. Number two, the Memorandum of Understanding relating to the payment of free travel compensation signed between the NLTA and the bus operators will be reviewed, subject to government approval, from a daily-based payment to a trip-based one. Number three, similarly, the fleet management system will enable a more accurate computation of mileage incurred by each bus on a daily or monthly basis for disbursement of fuel subsidies, diesel subsidies, in fact. Number four, the road service license of operators not providing services as per the conditions of their licenses will be revoked, as mentioned earlier, Section 77D of the Road Traffic Act will be used to have new players. Number five, my ministry will arrange for strengthening the inspectorate staff of the NLTA, which is currently devoid of such officers, and to have management support officers pending a substantive recruitment exercise of inspectors. This arrangement will allow for higher NLTA presence along bus routes and at bus stations. Number six, my ministry is also holding consultations with bus operators to acquire new buses and avail of the incentive provided under the bus modernization program. And lastly, number seven, we will assist as far as possible to expedite the recruitment of foreign workers in the bus industry to meet labour shortage. Madam Speaker, to end, the situation in the public transport has declined and is today subject to a significant number of complaints. The satisfaction level in all segments of the population is quite low. I am of the view that this is the result of yet another failure of our institutions and a complete absence of bold policies during the past years, past 10 years especially, to make the transport sector inclusive and attractive. Therefore, it is worth mentioning that with the collaboration of my colleague MPs and with the village councillor, it has taken my ministry only one meeting to detect and disclose malpractices impacting negatively on disbursement of funds, for which institutions ought to have noticed and addressed but did not do so. I am therefore taking bold measures to ensure that the roles and responsibilities of the NLTA are reinforced. Lastly, I wish to reassure the House that my ministry will ensure that notable improvements are brought in the bus services throughout the island, and that all sums of money spent on transport for the mobility of the population are effected with high responsibility and accountability. It is indeed a daunting challenge, Madam Speaker, but I am fully prepared to take it head on. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. The Honourable Fourth Member for Rodrigue.
Madam Speaker, B23.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the Cattle Productivity Incentive Scheme was launched in Mauritius in the year 2013 with the objective of providing a grant to breeders in order to assist them in taking better care of the animals during the critical life period of the calf from day 1 to 3 months. The Cattle Productivity Incentive Scheme is managed by the Small Farmers Welfare Fund and provides for a cash grant of 15,000 rupees as an incentive to small registered breeders for each calf that has reached the age of 3 months, up to a maximum of 40 calves per year. Now, the overall objective is to increase cattle productivity and enhance food security. Madam Speaker, subsequent in financial year 2023-2024, provision was made for the scheme to be extended to Rodrigue as well, to enable the registered breeders in Rodrigue to also benefit from the scheme. Now, with regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Small Farmers Welfare Fund that an amount of 1 million rupees was budgeted in the financial year 2023-2024 for Rodrigue, and 76 applications were received from breeders in respect of 138 calves for a total amount of 2,070,000 rupees. Out of the total of 70 applications, payment of 150,000 rupees for 10 cars were made to 3 applicants in the financial year 2023-2024, while payment of an amount of 1,930,000 will be effected to 73 applicants in the financial year. 1 million rupees has been budgeted by Rodrigue Regional Assembly in this financial year, and the remaining amount, 920,000, will be paid by the Small Farmers Welfare Fund. Now, B, as regards B of the question, I wish to highlight that in accordance with the decision of the Ministry of Finance, the scheme in respect of Rodrigue for the financial year 2024-2025 is being implemented by Rodrigue Regional Assembly. I am also informed that the scheme is operated on a demand basis, and additional funds can be reallocated by Rodrigue Regional Assembly from other schemes to meet the increasing demands. According to the Rodrigue Regional Assembly, as of now, no application under the scheme has been received, and there has been no disbursement of funds in the financial year.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Yes, Honourable First Member for Port-Louis Maritime and Port-Louis East.
B24.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for his question, and my answer is as follows. I'm informed by the New Social Living Development Limited, NSLD, that the project at Arsenal consists in the construction of a total of 574 housing units on 2 sites. That is, 284 units on one site opposite Arsenal Government School and 290 units on another site opposite La Pépinière d'Arsenal. With regards to Part A, I am informed by the NSLD that the total cost of the project is approximately 1.92 billion rupees. According to information provided by the Ministry of Finance, the contractor has benefited from exemption of VAT, as other contractors have also done under this particular social housing project. In this particular case, it was of 54 million on the project at Arsenal. As regards Part B, I am again informed by the NSLD that works on both sites are currently ongoing, and the building works of the 574 housing units only are expected to be completed by September 2025. Madam Speaker, in regards to Part C, the architectural firm for the project at Arsenal is NK Architect Limited. Insofar as Part D is concerned, I am informed that the building and land use permit in respect of both sites was first obtained on the 4th of August 2023, and my understanding is that a BLUP is only issued by a local authority after all required clearances have been obtained. I would like to add, however, that there was an amendment, an application for an amended BLUP on both sides, and I am informed that they date to the 11th of October 2024.
Yes, all right. The Honourable Second Member for Rodrigue, Mr. François. We're glad that you made it.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. B24.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, the Off-lagoon fishing scheme, purchase of Canot, was introduced with the aim of providing financial support to registered artisanal fishers to enable them to purchase better equipped fishing boats of 7 to 12 meters, commonly known as Canot, for fishing in the outer reef in order to enhance the livelihood of the artisanal fishers, while altogether increasing local fish production. The scheme provides for the following. 1, a grant representing 50% of the cost of the boat. and other related costs, including navigation and fishing accessories, up to a maximum of 300,000 rupees. B, a loan from DBM representing 90% of the remaining cost of the project at an interest rate of 3% per annum and a repayment period of 7 years, including 1-year moratorium. And C, the beneficiary meeting the 10% of the remaining costs from his own fund. In this context, my ministry has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Development Bank of Mauritius Limited for implementation of the scheme. Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the scheme was available for Mauritian fishers, and it is only recently, that is, as from July 2023, that the scheme was extended to fishers on Rodrigue. As regards part 1 of the question, my ministry received from the Commission for Agriculture, Fisheries, Food Production, Forestry, Plant and Animal Quarantine of the Rodrigue Regional Assembly 22 applications from fishers in Rodrigue. These applications were subsequently submitted to the DBM on the 31st August 2023 for financial assessment at its end. Regarding part 2 of the question, I'm informed by the Chief Executive of the DBM that on the 3rd October 2023, 19 out of the 22 applications were approved. Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that in January 2024, a total grant of 4,219,740 rupees was disbursed in favour of the 19 eligible fishers from Rodrigue. As regards breakdown of the total grant amount disbursed in respect of each of the 19 beneficiaries, I am tabling the information.
Yes.
Just one supplementary, Madam Speaker. Is the Honourable Minister aware that out of the 19 applications received or approved, only 3 or 4 canots have been purchased? And some of the fishers, probably out of the 4 million you mentioned, have received part payment for construction of the canot for a construction period of only 3 months, which have already lapsed. And why lapsed? Because local contractors, marine contractors, could not respond positively with all the problems of shortages of raw materials and increasing cost materials. So will the Honourable Minister request a review or an extension of this construction period with DBM and the local authorities thereat in the interest of our fishers?
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Since you're acting in the interest of the fishermen, and we all agree, would have no choice but to impress upon DBM to do the needful.
Thank you. Yes. The Honourable Second Member for Belrose and Caterpillar.
B26, please. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit of my ministry that the traffic lights opposite the Caterpillar market are currently operational for vehicular traffic, while for pedestrians, these traffic lights are not presently operational. In fact, the cables connecting the Pelican Heads pedestrian lights along Victoria Avenue, B72 Road, in reference, to the controller box have been found to be faulty. Due to faulty cables, erratic timing and complete power outage of the whole set of traffic light signals have been observed. As such, only the Pelican Heads along Victoria Avenue, meaning B72, have been disconnected to ensure the operational characteristics of the traffic lights on the other legs for vehicular traffic. Madam Speaker, I'm also informed that the underground sleeve harbouring the cables are completely jammed. As a result, civil works, meaning excavation of the road and putting new trunks and cable, will have to be undertaken to change the sleeve and the cables. This intervention does not fall under the contract for maintenance of traffic lights. At this moment in time, no contract for civil works can be awarded under the framework agreement because same have expired and new tenders will have to be launched. This might take some time. However, the repairs of these traffic signals will be given priority consideration in view of their strategic location. Meanwhile, the TRMSU has written to the Commissioner of Police to ensure safe pedestrian crossing at the location.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Yeah,
Je vous remercie.
one at a time.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Would the Minister inform the House when was the last maintenance or inspection conducted on these traffic lights and what were the findings?
Like I said, the problem is underground, Madam Speaker, because the cables are faulty. That is why there is erratic light signal on the pelican heads. It is not due to bad maintenance, it's because the cable. I asked the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit, because the trunks are already there, why don't you slot in new cables? But the problem is, over the years, 20 years or so, it has been jammed with mud and all these things, and it has not been possible. So it's not a question of maintenance, it's a question of faulty cables.
Yes.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. In the estimate of 24-25, okay, a sum of 25 millions have been allocated for the maintenance of the traffic lights. Can the Minister provide a detailed breakdown of how this amount has been spent as far? Thank you.
If I
It's a
knew,
very tall order.
it is indeed. It is indeed. And, you know, I am minister for 2 months. Previously, the Honorable Ganu was there. I do not know how he spent that money, but we'll have to.
You'll find out.
I'll find out and get back to the Honorable member.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Honorable Minister. Madame la Présidente, le dysfonctionnement de ces feux de signalisation représente un grave danger, d'accord, dans notre circonscription, et surtout c'est vis-à-vis du marché de 4 bornes. En attendant leur réparation, le ministre pourrait-il indiquer quelles mesures urgentes peuvent être prises pour assurer la sécurité des piétons? Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente.
Madam Speaker, I have replied to this. I've said that the TRMSU has written to the Commissioner of Police to ensure safe pedestrian crossing at that location. So if there is
I
none,
cannot hear the answer, please.
if there is none, I will have to speak to the Commissioner of Police, if that is allowed, of course, to ensure that needful is being done there. Because we have written formally, and I'm quite surprised that no police officers are there.
Will that do? Yes. All right. As long as everything is secure. Honourable third member for Vieux-Grand-Pont and Roosevelt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 27, please.
Madam Speaker, complaints have been received regarding the long waiting time faced by the inhabitants of the southern regions before undergoing coronary angiography and angioplasty. This is due to the fact that Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital had not been equipped with an angiography machine. Accordingly, patients requiring routine and emergency coronary angiography and angioplasty had to be referred to the Trust Fund for Specialized Medical Care for treatment. Madam Speaker, as at 31st December 2024, there were 121 patients on the waiting list at Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital. Since July 2023, an angiography machine has been transferred from Cardiac Center, Trust Fund for Specialized Medical Care to Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital, but the equipment has been non-functional. However, I have to highlight that electrical works, including air conditioning, have been contracted out and will be completed by 16th February 2025. Additionally, the CAT lab comprising 5 cardiologists, trained nursing staff, and 18 ICU beds has also been set up thereat. Madam Speaker, the pre-installation works for angiography machine is almost completed at Jawaharlal Nehru Hospital, and the machine will be operational around mid-February 2025, thus alleviating the plight of the inhabitants of the region. Nonetheless, being a second-hand machine, the angiography equipment has to be tested to assess its functionality. In the same vein, my ministry is exploring the possibility of acquiring a new angiography equipment in the future.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, PQ B28 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Social Integration. So, Honourable First Member for Rodrigue, Ms. Colette.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question B28, please.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that my ministry provides financial assistance under the National Solidarity Fund to bereaved families residing in Mauritius in respect to death cases, including victims of fatal road accidents. With regard to Rodrigues, I'm informed by the Rodrigues Regional Assembly that they do not have any similar mechanism in place for providing financial assistance to families of victims of fatal road accidents thereat, nor have they made any application so far to my ministry to that effect. In view of ensuring fairness to all citizens of the Republic residing in Rodrigues, my ministry is proposing to assist the Rodrigues Regional Assembly to set up a similar mechanism so as to provide financial support to families of victims of fatal road accidents in Rodrigues for timely relief. I am tabling into this House a list of assistance under the National Solidarity Fund, the National Pension Act, and Social Aid Act to bereaved families in respect of death cases, including victims of fatal road accidents in Mauritius. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. The Honourable Second Member for Rodrigues.
Yes, thank you. B29.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that the Social Register of Mauritius, SRM, was introduced in 2008 as a centralized database to register individuals requesting financial support. Eligibility for assistance is based on two criteria. First, income, and second, a proxy means test, PMT, which is a formula used to determine eligibility of an individual or a household to benefit from empowerment support. The proxy means test, PMT formula, aims at addressing the living standard of each household and is based on demographic and socio-economic characteristics, such as age, gender, number of children, as well as whether the applicant is owner of his or her dwelling and the housing conditions thereof. The existing criteria in use for the PMT dates back to 2016. In view of the changing socio-economic conditions, the PMT criteria, which still makes use of data from Household Budget Survey 2012, need to be reviewed to take on board new criteria to be worked out. In addition, after 9 years, observations have been made of elements of subjectivity when applying some of the criteria of the PMT. The previous government has, in June 2023, initiated action to review the PMT. Maurice Strategy, MS, which currently falls under the purview of the Ministry of Financial Services and Economic Planning, was solicited to assist with the review and is providing the services of a local and an international consultant for the review thereof, with the financial support of Agence Française de Développement, AFD, and Expertise France. However, the review of the PMT is also largely dependent on the findings of the latest Household Budget Survey 2023, which is expected to be finalized by February 2025, according to Statistics Mauritius. Furthermore, the board of the National Empowerment Foundation, NEF, is presently being reconstituted after an expression of interest for which 269 applications were received by the 27th January 2025.